Hello, everyone. Let's talk about humanism. Humanism is a very positive view about human beings. It sees us as having this constructive and creative potential to achieve self-actualization. And its principal forces or theorists are Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. And some of you might remember Maslow's hierarchy from your Intro to Psych class, where they talked about the basic needs being at the bottom, and then you work your way up to the top towards self-actualization. So self-actualization is actually the motive that we have inside us that drives us to reach our full potential. If you're here in college, I can tell for sure that you have a motive to reach your full potential in terms of your intellect and your ability to master life. Humanistic models also talk about unconditional positive regard. And that's really an important concept, so let's emphasize this. Valuing other people as having basic worth regardless of their behavior at a particular time. That's very hard for some people. I'll give you an example in my work. There was a man that gained some notoriety in Modesto because he committed a terrible crime of kidnapping a young woman and actually, and I hope you can handle this, but he actually cut off her arms. She lived, but she will live without her arms because of what this terrible man did to her. Now imagine being a counselor and having this man referred to you like I was. So there's a man sitting before me, and I am supposed to work with him to help him achieve his potential when I know the terrible crime that he has committed. Just think about sitting across from him and wondering, what would that be like? Because you would have disdain for his behavior, but could you have value for him as a fellow human being? That's what it means to have unconditional positive regard. Conditional positive regard is valuing other people on the basis of whether their behavior meets your approval. And many people do this. So someone comes into your life and you hear that they disagree with you on certain things, or they've done something in the past that was bad, and that means that you don't value them as a fellow human being because of their behavior. Counselors have to work with people who've done problematic things, and if we disrespect them for that and see them as less valuable as a human being because of their behavior, it's really hard for us to give them the respect that they need in order to grow past the problems of their past. So Rogers believed that parents can help their children develop self-esteem and set them on the road towards self-actualization by showing them unconditional positive regard, prizing them on the basis of their inner worth regardless of their behavior of the moment. This is where the idea came from that we don't say, you're a bad boy, bad girl. We say, that's bad behavior, because we're not devaluing the entire being of the child. We just are trying to tell them that we don't value that behavior. So, humanism focuses on our desire to grow and reach our potential. Every one of you in here has a definition of growth that says, I want to achieve a college education. I want to be an educated person. Humanists believe that we develop our ideas about what potential to achieve through our role models, demonstrating to us what to value, such as a family may value religion, money, or relationships. To change behavior, we must usually have a significant experience that changes our values, such as a serious illness or accident, or we experience a loss, such as a relationship or situation. Those can cause us to grow. So sometimes I work with people who have stress-related physical disorders, and they're referred to me by their cardiac physicians because their stress has complicated their heart condition. So people come to me after having a heart attack and say, okay, I'm ready to change because I can't keep doing what I was doing, as I don't want to have another heart attack and I don't want to live with a reduced capacity in my heart. Those are very motivated clients, but I have to tell you that some of them are so steeped in their beliefs about themselves and about life that sometimes their motivation only lasts 2 weeks to a month after they've had the heart attack, and then they go back to their poor habits such as eating and lack of exercise, and their poor thinking such as not being able to deal with their anger. So it's really hard to change. I'm not saying it's easy to make a change even when you've had a dramatic experience. The humanistic model, humanistic means growth, so think green when you think of humanism and relate it to growth. Believes that people are friendly, basically, cooperative and constructive, and they focus on their drive towards self-actualization and reaching your potential. Each person develops their definition of growth based on role models and experience, and blocks to growth cause mental illness. So when you run into a block, like let's say your definition of growth is, I want a college education, but you have to work, you get ill, you have an accident, you run out of money, you're in a relationship, and they don't want you doing all this studying all the time. So either you have to remove the block, saying, you know what, I'm going to apply for financial aid if I have financial troubles. I'm not going to be in a relationship with somebody who says they don't want me to go to college. And I have an example of that. Okay, so one of my students said after class, after I talked about this, she said, oh man, you're not going to believe what I went through. Okay, so my boyfriend doesn't want me to go to college. So I was sneaking to college and he found out about it. So he really shut down my ability to go to college. He told me I couldn't answer the phone, I couldn't leave the house, or he would break up with me and not allow me to live with him. Well, I was financially dependent on him. So she said, I tried to cooperate, but I still took some classes. He would come home and he would feel the car, it should be cold because she hadn't driven it. He would feel the TV, it should be warm because she should be home watching it. And he would check to see the messages on the phone and see if anybody had called her. So she was really compromised by this relationship. So one day he came out and he said, I have proof that you are being unfaithful to me. And she said, oh yeah, what's your proof? And he showed her a little chart he was making where he was counting her tampons that she used for each period. And his proof that she was being unfaithful was that she had used 2 above her average that month, which meant that she had taken it out, had sex with somebody, and needed a new one. Wow. So she realized this is absolutely horrible and she's got to get out of this relationship. So before she did that though, she started putting, you guys, I know this is gross, but here it is. She started putting her used tampons in the box and with a message that said, here, count this. Now that's an example of a relationship bringing out the worst in a person, that's for sure. So you can either remove the block, like get out of that relationship, or you can develop a new definition of growth, which in this case she really couldn't do, which was I won't go to school, I'll, be controlled by this guy so that my new definition of growth would be a successful relationship with this guy. And she wasn't about to do that. Another example I have is a football player who was gay back when you could not let anyone know you were gay, jumped off a bridge to kill himself, and he didn't die. He became quadriplegic. So his new definition of growth was, wheeling himself into different high schools and talking about it's okay to be gay. So he changed his life focus and he's actually happier now than when he was a football player who had the secret. Another example is if you have a major and you decide this major isn't really for me and you change your major so that you are more satisfied. Okay, so humanism also includes unconditional positive regard. If you receive it, it leads to unconditional self-regard. If not, it leads to conditions of worth. And those people are incapable of self-actualization because of self-doubt and feeling unworthy and less than others. So Rogers' client-centered therapy focused on being accurate and genuine in reflection of feeling and content of what the client had said. So that's called reflective or active listening. It goes like this. So it sounds like you might be feeling frustrated in this situation. Is that right? Or it sounds like you might be feeling depressed about how your relationship is going. Is that right? Next session, we will talk about Sigmund Freud.